I want to answer a question. I was asked this recently, and I realize it's something that people need to know about Shibari. And the question is, how does Shibari heal? Now, first of all, I am not a therapist. I know a lot about therapy and psychology, but I am not a therapist. So I am going through my own experience. I'm going through my intuition. I'm going through what I've seen and what I've read and what I know of psychology. And so, and I was also asked, like, are we healing? Do you heal through like abuse or drug addiction and stuff like this? So I'll see if I can tap on some of that here. So first of all, how does it heal? When you are tied in Shibari, what happens is your system, like if you feel really safe and really held, you can let your mind go into this deep surrendered space. It's like a deep meditation, like into subspace, which is one of the deepest forms of meditation. And when we get to that place, our conscious, chattery mind actually shuts off. And then whatever really needs to show up to be looked at or felt or connected to, it shows up. Then what happens is maybe the memory shows up of abuse from this person or this experience that was painful. And then the reality that they come back to, like, wait, I'm safe, I'm held. Can I trust this person? Okay, I can trust this person. And all of a sudden, they're connecting the dots of like, that was then, and this is now. And then they realize like they're separate. Because most of the time when you're walking around in daily life, a memory shows up, you get into that, the story, and then you feel it, and it's in your body, and then you forget to look around and go, oh, I'm safe. Oh, I'm okay. What happens in a session is you're like being surrounded and wrapped up in rope. And then when you remember the memory, and then you realize like something moves, and then it's like you're extra open to feel everything, then to realize like, oh, I'm safe. And connecting those dots is a really good way of healing trauma, to go, oh, that was then, this is not happening now, right now I am safe. And then it supports people to realize they are safe in life. They realize that they're safe to be more of themselves, to feel, to connect, and to be around others, and that it has them feel more trust and safety in life. I've had people show up and heal so many wounds around mother issues, different kinds of trauma, sexual trauma, sexual abuse. One person healed a lot of stuff around being in solitary confinement. He thought he would never let anybody tie him, but we worked on a very slow, minute basis until he was like ready for it. And then all of a sudden it was just like the freedom that showed up in his life, and he saw where he was, tying himself up in his life and not letting himself feel and live as free as he needed and wanted. So these are the kinds of things that show up and happen in rope, and it's knowing that you're safe and knowing you can trust, and then you start trusting yourself, you start trusting the other, and then you start trusting and feeling safe out in the world. So I hope that supports you in knowing this. And about addiction, I have not tied anybody who is healing around addiction. So I don't know if it would help with that. So I don't have any experience with that. I would guess that it could help, but I really don't know. So I'm not going to say it will or will not. But if it's connected to a trauma and the trauma gets healed, maybe you'll have less desire to have that addiction. I also want to say, like, from my own experience, I'd like to share my own experience of what happened with me. So I had a traumatic experience in my family in 2018, and then when I started getting tied by somebody that I felt I could trust. In our second session, he just kept wrapping more and more rope on me, and I kept thinking, oh my God, and I'm claustrophobic. And I'm like, oh my God, I am going to freak out, and he's going to have to cut all this rope off me, and I'm in the air. Like, how is this? And I was like thinking all this stuff, and then I was like, can I breathe? Like, and when you can breathe into it, about 3 to 5 breaths in, what ends up happening is your whole body, at least my experience was, my whole body relaxed. The claustrophobia left. And all of a sudden, I could just feel pleasure and surrender. And what happened for me was, like, when I got out of the rope, I watched how everything changed over the course of the next few weeks, where I started feeling more empowered and more sexy and more alive, and I was laughing more, and I was feeling more freedom in my body. I started dressing more sexily, and it was just like my empowered, sexy, yummy self started coming back, and I was like, oh. And it was from breathing into the moment, breathing into the fear, breathing into it and the resistance, and letting it go. And then everything just started changing. My life started changing from that point on. So that's my experience. If you have any questions about Shibari or healing, I've been a healer since I was 8 or 9 years old. I've been doing Shibari for about 5 years. My background is being a bodyworker healer as well as a Tantra practitioner. So I'd love to talk with you if you have any questions.